Hi, everybody. It's Mark Rushton of markrushtongallery.com. It is Sunday, April 24th, 2022, and this video is called Vibrating Wires, Abandoned Railroad Crossing. And so that ties in with everything today. Start off with the Instagram picture of the day out at my Instagram site, Mark Rushton, holding steady at 106 followers. Today's picture is of the substation, somewhat near my house. And I could just tell you a million stories about how I got that photo and all the circumstance. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it. But the track, I'd been making music a couple of years ago. I bought a lap steel, and of course I hook it up to my effects boxes, and I make different types of music with it. Music, noise, sound, whatever you want to call it. And so that was the basis of the 183rd Ambient Rushton Podcast. And released that yesterday. And it's of the track Abandoned Railroad Crossing by my band, that's me, Vibrating Wires. So last week, I rebooted my 18-year-old podcast after a 9-month hiatus. And I featured in number 182, I featured Overstable by my band, Aleodiology. And now I've got Vibrating Wires. So I'm just going to kind of crank them out. Hopefully at the rate of maybe 2 a week. They really don't take that long to create. But the purpose of this is to present my music out there, play a little bit of it for fans or listeners or people who stumble upon it, and then also present it in a way to music supervisors, synchronization licensing agencies, and other creatives who have a budget for licensing sound. So sync licensing is a sector of the music industry that I've studied and researched in the last 6 months. And during this time, I've gotten all of my catalogs, titles, codes, and other metadata into an Airtable database. I have over 1,200 ambient and avant-garde sounds, mostly ambient, over 300 down-tempo electronica beats, instrumental, some comedy stuff, humor things, and then about another 1,200 in environmental, which would be like rain and wind and crickets and highways and air conditioners and stuff like that. But I really kind of want to focus mainly on the music because that's what music supervisors are probably looking for, music. And the thing with ambient music, and particularly the way that I create ambient music, is a little bit different than I think a lot of musicians do it. But I have the catalog out there. I do think it's probably, listen, my wife watches lots of episodic TV and things like that. And every now and then she'll pull me in here like, oh, listen to this here. This bit kind of sounds like you, right? Like, yeah, man, a little bit, right? So that's kind of the purpose of this here. So I decided for 2022, I was going to dip my toe into the world of music synchronization, music licensing, and study it for a long time, figure out, the various agencies and, do I want to be in a library or do I want to be with an agency? Do I want to be exclusive? Do I be non-exclusive? How are the deals worked? Now, I'm not a stranger to music licensing in that I participated many years in, app-based licensing opportunities, which are through a company called Music Reports in the United States. And I do very well on that, on some things, right? Other things, you sign up for them and, maybe they don't have that much activity. Maybe my sort of stuff isn't in there. But there are many things out there that do actually quite well. And I thought, well, if that's doing well, then maybe I should take another step forward into the industry here and learn about the synchronization licensing, which is a pretty complex part of the industry. However, one thing I've not been impressed with is some of the advice that people in various podcasts, on videos, and particularly websites, blogs, and stuff like that. These people, and these are people who they write for libraries or they write music just for syncs and that sort of thing. They're musicians, not so much like the artists like me. and they give advice out there, and some of the advice is a little. Are you sure? Are you sure that's good advice? Are you sure you're not trying to hamstring absolutely everybody else? Because I know how musicians are. They are a bit territorial. They can be a bit territorial about things. Not all of them. Not all, just a few, just a bunch, just some. But but then there's a lot of us out there, helping each other out, walking each other through the maze and everything like that. That happens too. But I mean, in the past, many years ago, and up until maybe a year or so ago, I would encounter people that would be, um, well, just reserved about certain things, and whatever. But yeah, some of the advice that was given in these blogs and things like that was like, oh, you know what you need to do is you need to watch a bunch of episodic TV shows and movie trailers. I'm like, I'm never gonna get my music in a movie trailer. If I did that, I mean, that'd be great and everything like that. But that's like shooting for the stars, right? I'm just happy. I'd just be happy to find somebody who, it fit the thing that they're doing. And maybe they don't have the biggest budget in the world, but hey, listen, we connected up. It's the thing that you want. That's cool. Let's make it happen, right? That's kind of my approach at this point in time. I'm not trying to get the Super Bowl commercial or the Disney ad or what's the other thing that they absolutely go, the Netflix, right? Oh, that's gotta be good, right? I wouldn't necessarily kick that to the curb, but let's be realistic here. There's a lot of uses, in the long tail, micro licensing and all that sort of stuff that I'm perfectly open and willing and receptive to do. But the thing you have to do is you have to go and present your music out there. You have to get it off the shelf. You have to talk about it. You have to talk about stories about the music. You have to talk about where you think that might fit in, as far as the music is concerned. And so that's the kind of the point and purpose of my reboot of the podcast, right? Because some of these things, yeah, what are some of the advice out here? Yeah, watch a whole bunch of TV shows and movie trailers. Like, I'm not going to do that. And then hunt down the music supervisor's name. There's ways to do that, on IMDb and then this other industry site and this other thing, and you can kind of and then you should send them an email, right? I'm like, that does not seem like a good strategy. Those people are busy. They're busy listening to stuff that they know about, that interests them, by people that they're already connected with, right? That, I'm sure they have ways to filter out the hundreds and hundreds of spam emails and desperate, pathetic emails they get from people. That don't even know what an ISRC code is, right? Much less so. Oh, what do you mean I have to be part of a PRO? What do you mean? I can just imagine the stories, right? So anyway, that's. Yeah, and I say that as somebody who, has been making a podcast for 18 years, and often I will get unsolicited emails from people around the world who they're like, "Oh, hey, I heard your podcast. Would you be interested in featuring my music?" And it's like, and sometimes it's ambient, most of the time it's not. And it's just like, where did you hoover up my email? Where did you what did you didn't really listen to my podcast? And but besides, anyway, if you listen to my podcast and you read anything on my website, you would realize that my podcast is solely about me, solely about my music. So that always cracks me up. You just delete, spam, unsubscribe, whatever. Why are you unsubscribing? I never subscribed to this. Oh, well, so are you sure you don't want to? We've all been down that road before, haven't we? Oh my God. Yeah. So my contention is, after a lot of thought here on this, and I was never going to do the watch the industry and spam people and all that. I mean, I'll participate in the cattle call on the website, the submissions, because that, my attitude about promoting my music out there is that, anytime you have an opportunity to pitch, to write a pitch, particularly if you think you know how to write a pitch and are succinct and you're getting good at it and you save them off and all that sort of stuff. There's nothing wrong with writing that pitch out there. I think that's a good practice, even though the odds are very, very low out there. But I thought I would try to do something different, and just the act here in the last 4 or 5 months of getting all of my titles and everything into an Airtable database, and going through everything and having all my codes and working on the metadata and getting all of that sort of together and creating a disco account, which apparently is used by most sync agencies and music supervisors use disco. And so I got an account in December. I've been adding tracks in there and tagging them and all the stuff that you need to do. But as far as contacting people, I don't know where to begin with that, and I'm not going to start with spamming people. If I don't know them, I'm not going to Dear John them, right? It's just I'm not comfortable with that. And it doesn't. I think that's, yeah, it's always a numbers game, but I think that's a ridiculous numbers game, considering how many musicians are out there and how many people might succumb to that sort of behavior. And I'm just not going to do it, right? I mean, I've been building playlists of my music for years. I think I've gotten better and better at that over time. I've certainly had success with doing that, learning all the different streaming services and how my music looks on there and what discovery is like on there. So I take that, also combine that with what I do here with the daily video. Cause I mean, look at this, you're going to have the title be a certain thing. You're going to have the description be a certain thing. And then if somebody wants to listen to you and hear you ramble about your work, you talk about your catalog, talk about your music, tell stories about it, present ideas on how the music might be used. And, perhaps the podcast may be listened to by somebody who, is either in the industry to a certain extent, in the sync industry, in the music supervisor, music production, a creative that has a budget for music, or maybe they know somebody who does that and say, oh, hey, this guy does, ambient instrumentals. Do you want to, you might want to, he's making podcasts. He's in disco. He's a member of ASCAP. He's One Stop, all that sort of stuff. That's apparently super important for these sorts of things. Ultimately, it is about the music, but being professional and having your ducks in a row, well, there's something to be said for that as well, I think. So that's kind of my rant on that. And so that was the Instagram picture of the day. Unfortunately, I cannot put the link to my podcast on Libsyn in the description here for Instagram, because Facebook and Instagram seem to think that something with regard to that link, it violates terms of service. And I've been having the same problem here on StreamYard with my live stream to Facebook. It has been conked out the last week. And then today I tried to submit this picture to Instagram with that Libsyn link in the lower section there. I just casually mentioned it or whatever, and it immediately was removed for violations of terms of service. And of course, it's just an automatic thing, and you don't know why. You go read through that TOS, and it could be anything. So I am working with the StreamYard people and the Libsyn people, and I think I figured it out, and I sent them an email today. Of course, it's Sunday. I don't expect to hear back. But what I did today was took those links out. As you can see, I'm streaming to Facebook without any problems. And once I removed that URL from Instagram, it posted fine. So, it's just all these extra hassles out here. I know I should just use like a link tree or something like that, but pray make my own or whatever. You're drinking bubbly. You're drinking bubbly. That Michael Bublé drink with nothing in it except natural flavor. What is natural flavor? Do I want to know what that is? I bought a bunch of this when I was sick with the what many last what was it, September or October, something like that. I was sick for a while. And I bought some of this because I thought, well, I'm not going to get that 7-Up. It's got the sugar in it. This doesn't have the sugar in it, but this is largely inert. And I've got a bunch of them in my garage, and I'm just like, I got to get rid of these things. I slowly drink them down. They're not my favorite thing, but in a pinch it'll do. I love the water in the red cup too. So anyway, that's Vibrating Wires, Abandoned Railroad Crossing. Let's take a look at the podcast page out here. It's so sexy. And this is out at ambient.libsyn.com. And if you need the RSS feed, it's down here. It's feeds.libsyn, libsyn.com/59535/RSS. So I use that sort of thing, like the direct RSS feed, when I'm here in my phone. I use a program in Android called Podkicker Pro, which is, again, that's not the sexiest app ever, but it's the devil I know, right? So that's out there. And then of course I realized that since rebooting the podcast, I need to add it to my website here. That will take me a couple of minutes later today. It's actually kind of a pretty day out, so I think I might do some work outside. And of course, the Mother's Day sale out at the Mark Rushton Gallery has concluded. So take a little breather today from that. I think we may come up with something new here very soon. Of course, the weekly sale is still going on. It's super deep discount. Normally these paintings here are $149.95. They're down to $49.95, 8.5, and free shipping in the United States. What a great deal. And of course, I take commissions as well. If there's, something out there that you'd like me to work on, whether it's a certain kind of a painting, or maybe a type of print collage. Like, for example, here we'll go to New Art and we'll see things like this. Things like the thermal printed photos that are colorized with the ink and the paint, this sort of thing. I can do that sort of stuff as well. Just go over to markrushtongallery.com, click on the commissions link, and talk about that if you're interested. I do that sort of stuff. Tote bags. Yeah, I've got the new tote bag section here, and for some reason, that's showing up in here. It's like I do QA live I got tote bags down there and I've got tote bags up here. This should not be up here. This should actually be in there. So I have a little bit of a thing to figure out. But yeah. I've got an exclusive tote bag store now. Instead of drilling into the image, all you do is you go out to Mark Rushton Gallery, scroll down, go to the tote bag store, and it's going to be nothing but tote bags. And eventually I'm going to have t-shirts too. Be nothing but t-shirts. But first I have to go and make them. I have to go and get one made and have it delivered to me, and then I'll show it off, and then I'll open that store up. But I do not open these stores up until I have received the item and played around with it and shown my wife, who absolutely loves this stuff. Absolutely loves it. So there's that. What else we got out there? We got anything going on here? Okay, I don't need that. Click that off there. So I think we're at 20 minutes anyway. No one's going to listen to this. 2 people are watching. That's great. That's fantastic. Well, now you can watch the replay, watch the rebroadcast out on YouTube, out on Facebook, out on Twitch. And of course, it's the videos are always on the translator channels, which are, what are those things called? Bit, Shoot, Odyssey, Rumble, etc., etc. People actually watch out there. It's kind of amazing. Anytime you can hook up one of those alternative video streaming services to something that's been broadcast on YouTube, you don't have to lift a finger. It's really just gravy, Nothing wrong with that. So anyway, pretty day. I'm gonna go out, enjoy the weather, get a little vitamin D, and anyway, yeah, the maybe eventually something's got to happen, right? Somebody will find my music and want to license it for some reason or purpose or something like that. And that'll be cool. But I'm gonna have to make a bunch of these, and I'm just gonna try and get better and better at it as far as making the podcasts and focusing, playing the music and then talking about the different ways that it could be licensed, and just trying to throw those little satellites, all those little space probes out into the world there. See what comes of them, right? I guess. I don't know. That's it for today. Talk to you later.